FT today, the article that seems to me most relevant is the beginning of the second section, companies and market section. There's an article here, Europe's banks race to offload property loans. This is quite an interesting article from the point of view of understanding the interaction between the banking system and the larger financial system, and also the interaction between the credit system and the real economy. So what they are talking about here, this is in Europe, that there are all of these European banks which have loans, property loans, on their balance sheet here, and which are in many cases have gone south. They're not worth face value anymore. This was part of the boom. This is what's left over from the boom in Spain, in Ireland, wherever have you. And they are anticipating a new round of regulation that is going to require the banks to hold more capital against these against potential losses. The idea being that if the bank raises private capital, then the state, the government, the taxpayer will be less on the hook because there'll be more of a capital buffer to absorb. If these property loans go bad, okay, then the capital absorbs the hit. That's the idea. But the regulation is requiring these banks to raise their capital, particularly against the most risky part of their portfolio. And so as a consequence, they're, instead of going to the market and doing this, they're saying, well, let's keep the capital we have and let's just get rid of our loans. So that the regulations are always a ratio. It's like capital as a ratio to your outstanding risky loans. So they're trying to sell all of these things. Okay? They're trying to sell these. And what they're doing is packaging them together, securitizing some of them if they can, selling them at pennies on the dollar in some cases to private equity companies, it indicates here, private equity funds of some kind. So they're selling these things for cash, so minus property loans, and here's the private equity would be here. And they're getting these loans minus cash, okay, plus cash here. And that allows the European banks to use some of this cash to pay down whatever borrowing they have here, short-term borrowing or borrowing from the ECB or something like that. And they're deleveraging. This is the point, deleveraging, okay? Meaning they're shrinking their balance sheet on both sides, And this is, in order to achieve these desired capital ratios, the consequence is not only that they're selling these property loans probably at fire sale prices because nobody wants to buy them, but also that they're certainly not making any new loans. Okay, so there's a kind of credit crunch going on in Europe as a consequence of this as well. So this is a short little article about selling property loans, but you can see that this is really about the connection between the banking system and these sort of other financial institutions, and it's between the relationship between the banking system and the real economy, that there's a credit crunch going on here as well. Since we're talking about the Fed funds market today, just draw your attention, the last page of the second section there's a section called interest rates market that reports on various interest rates. The next 3 lectures in this course are going to be about the Fed funds market. That's what we're doing now. And then on Wednesday, we're going to do the repurchase agreement market. And then next Monday, we're going to do the Eurodollar market. Okay. These are the 3 main dollar money markets, and they have different interest rates associated with them. One of our questions will be, why are these interest rates not the same? But I'll just report to you what the FT says they are. The FT reports every day what they are. When it says US dollar LIBOR, that's the Eurodollar rate, and this is an overnight rate, and it's 0.15140. This is overnight US dollar LIBOR. And it reports, if you go look down a little farther, you see US overnight repo is 0.29. Okay? And you go down a little further and you see Fed funds effective, which is not the policy rate, but the actual rate that banks are borrowing and lending to each other, and it's 0.16. Okay? So these are all overnight rates. These are all rates for the same period, but they're not the same. There are different rates for different kinds of borrowing. And one interesting question, the economics of which are always fascinating, is why are these rates what they are?